Hey guys, so since we've been talking about living on a budget, I figured now's the perfect time to talk about saving for the future because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to work forever. At some point I want to be able to retire. Obviously, we all know the best way to set ourselves up for retirement is to save for the future, and of course, one way of doing that is to set up something like a 403b or a 401k, whatever your work has lined up for you guys to do. That's great. But there's also things that you guys can do too. Living on a budget now is going to set yourself up for the future because you're going to be able to save more money. And you have to stick to that budget. But there's some things that I think that people don't realize. Like, we have to understand our cash flow and like where we're spending our money, and you need to have a good understanding of what your spending habits are, which is why it's so important to have a budget. And you also have to be able to say no in order to say yes. So what I mean by that is that you have to be able to say no to certain things because you want to say yes to things in the future. You want to be able to go on those vacations. You want to be able to spend that extra money when you're out shopping. So you have to say no to some things, and you definitely have to say no if it's something that's outside of your budget unless it's a necessity. And you have to plan, for life itself in general, because life always has a way of throwing a curveball in. Something's going to come up that's unexpected. But the biggest part is when you're saving for the future, even though, you have set a goal, write it down, write what you want your goal to be. So I want to be able to retire. So yeah, I might have a retirement plan set up with my work, but I also want to make sure that I have money because I want to be able to enjoy life too. Your retirement plan is set up so that you can live after you're done working, but the bills aren't going to stop coming after you're done working. Yeah, your house might be paid off, but you're still going to have everyday bills like, electricity, food, cable. And life is just going to keep getting more expensive. It's not going to get any cheaper. We're not going to go back to living, I think, like when I first got my license and it was like $1.20 for a gallon of gas. Like, that's not going to happen. It's not going to go back that way, guys. So we have to set ourselves up for the future now. Stick to your budget. Write down your goals and keep them in your mind. Review your spending. You set up your budget monthly, review your spending weekly, and keep track because it's easier to catch the mistakes and stop the spending if you're reviewing it weekly versus reviewing it monthly, because if you're reviewing it monthly, you're going to miss something. But if you look at what you spent last week, you're like, oh, okay, I ate lunch twice last week, I ordered out, I can't do that again this week because it's not on my budget. It's just easier to keep track that way. But here's the other big part, and this is coming from the parent in me, is that you guys all know how expensive, all you parents, you know how expensive your kids are, you know how expensive kids can be in everything that they need, from clothes to shoes to sports to video games to hanging out with their friends. Like, everything is expensive, but kids mirror our behaviors. So while you're setting yourself up for the future, it's so, so, so important, guys, to talk to your kids about saving for the future. If they see you putting yourself on a budget, if they see you living on a budget, they see you saving for the future, those are the things that they're going to do as well. So while you're setting yourself up for the future, you're also setting your children up for the future too. It's so important. And it's important to teach them the difference between saving and spending, and teaching them how important it is. Like, if you spend here, well, now you don't have to spend there. And teaching them the value of, just because you earned $20 for shoveling the walkway or shoveling the driveway doesn't mean that you spend it as soon as you get it. So hopefully some of these tips are helpful for you guys. I'll put out a blog tomorrow. I'll go a little more in depth and I'll explain those things a little bit more. I would really love to hear from you guys on how you're setting yourselves up for the future, because maybe you guys have some tips, some strategies, some money saving, budgeting ideas that I don't have that I could benefit from. So post those comments down below and let me know, what you guys are doing, and maybe I can use some of your tips. And hopefully you guys are having a good night, and I'll talk to you later.